my sermons and all the stuff I do around here. Really, PowerPoint's about the only program I understand in Windows, and I probably understand 2% of that. But I like to keep things simple, so I can get you started, okay? Get you up to kindergarten level. Here we're going to take an example. Here's my computer screen. I'm going to go to the background up here. You can see my mouse moving right there. And I'm going to right-click down here by my keyboard, and it says create a new. A new what? A new PowerPoint presentation. So I click right there. Oh, now it's asking me, what do you want to call it? Let's call it the book of James. Okay, we're going to study the book of James in the Bible. James. Now I hit enter, and it's there. I got a PowerPoint program, but there's nothing in it. If I click on it, it's going to open up and say, there's nothing here. What's your first slide? Click on it again. There we go. Click here to add your first slide. Okay, so click. Now I have a slide in my James program with nothing on it. Let's put something on there just for fun here. I'm going to type in the word James, J-A-M-E-S, James. I have one slide. Now, because we already have a Bible verse background that we use for all my presentations, I'm going to go to another presentation and steal a slide that already has the fancy background. But if you want to start from scratch and put any background you want, make a Bible, and then put all your verses on top. So what I'm going to do is go to something I've already got open. So let me minimize this, top right corner. Now James is minimized. I'll open up my book of Hebrews, which is down here. And let's see. If I open up the book of Hebrews, I've already got a bunch of slides. And I already have a slide made with Dinosaur Adventureland and all this stuff in the background. I'm gonna copy this whole slide. I'm gonna go right-click over here, and it says copy. I copied that slide into the memory of wherever that is on the computer. Now, Alt and Tab makes me go back and forth between everything that's open on my computer. So I'm going to go to my new presentation, James, and I'm going to go right under it, click a button, and hit Control-V, which will paste that slide. But for some reason, when you cut and paste to a different program, you have to go back and tell it under Control here. I click the Control button, come down to keep the source formatting. You notice over here, if you can see it, there's little bitty white boxes that something got whited out for some reason. There, now they're there. Keep the source formatting. So that is my first slide from Hebrews. So I'm going to go over here and change it to take out the Hebrews text and type in James. James. I'm going to erase this because this was a reminder to me to go to slide number 274 for something. Okay. And I'm going to erase all this because I don't know what chapter 1 is about yet. This is called a text box, and I've got several text boxes on this slide. So I'm going to go now to my Bible program. At the bottom, I have a Bible program, God's Word for Windows. It looks like it's already running. So I do Alt-Tab. 1, 2, 3. There's God's Word for Windows over here. So I'm going to tab, 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 tab. I'm holding the Alt button down. There's my Bible verse, or my Bible. So if I go here to the book of, I've already got it here, the book of James, chapter 1, and I'm going to, let's see, go to the beginning, right before the 1, hold the left mouse button down, and drag my finger over the keypad, over the screen. Let's cut off 10 verses at a time here. Okay, I'm down to the end of verse 10. This is called, it's selected. I let go of everything. Control-C will copy it. There's probably another way to copy it. There's probably 4 or 5 ways to do everything I'm doing. I'll just show you the way I know to do it. Now I want to Alt-Tab to take me back to my book of James presentation. Okay. Oh, I forgot to cut a Bible verse out, copy a verse. Okay. So let me go back to Hebrews and steal a Bible verse. I'm clicking here. I'm going to put Alt-V-D, which is the shortcut to put it into this mode. I can look at the slides in several different ways. One is where I can sort them. And here, to sort them, I can go up here and look at the review or the view. Click the view button. What size do you want to sort them? Well, let's zoom down to size 50%. Okay. Now I get more slides on the screen. I can see more of them at the same time. If I could zoom down to 10%, I couldn't read them, but I could see a bunch. So I'm going to find a Bible verse that I've already got the background. So I'm going to go over here to the right and click to go down through my slides. Let's see, let's find there's one. No, that was Moses. Here we go. A Bible verse, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. If I click on it twice, it'll open it up to the full size. That's why now this is in the edit mode. I'm able to edit and change things on it. I'm going to come over here to the left, click on it once, and Control C. I have just copied that to the memory, wherever that is. Alt-Tab is going to take me back to the book of James, and I'm going to click a button over here, just touch on the screen, and now Control-V will paste it. But again, I have to keep the source formatting. So I go down Control, middle button, keep the source formatting. So there is the same verse that I had over in the other program, and it already has a Bible down here, and there's a Bible ghosted in the background, and somebody made that for me. It's pretty cool. But now I'm in the book of James. So I have two text boxes in here. If I touch this, the square will show up. It shows up a little square. That's my text box. So I'm going to click right after the Hebrews, backspace, and type James. James chapter 1. My cursor is flashing in there. If I hit the escape button, it disappears. Notice James is not centered under the Bible. So I'm going to use these arrow keys here and scoot it over until it is centered. There. Now, I'm going to keep copying that background for all my slides in the book of James. So I'm going to go erase all of the Hebrews verse I had. I hold the Control and the Shift button down, and now move these arrows, and it selects everything. But I want to save one number, the number 1, so I don't have to redo the font and all that stuff. Okay, now I'm going to hit the Delete button. All that's gone. Now, Alt-Tab will take me over to the book of James that I had. This is already selected. Control-C will copy all of that. Alt-Tab will take me back where I was. And now Control-V will paste all that. Control-V. All 10 verses from the book of James, chapter 1. Okay, let's see. Now, I'm going to hit Escape because my cursor is flashing in that box. I want to escape. So whatever I do up here in the toolbar is going to do it to that whole box. Well, I'd like to change it to be a white font. So I go up here to my font colors and click white. There, got a white font. Now I'm going to go to this, tells me what type of font. There are thousands of fonts. We tested a whole bunch of them. Which one's the easiest to read from 50 feet away? I chose Gaudy, Goudy, space, Sans, S-A-N-S, space, medium, enter. Now it has changed the font to Gaudy Sans Medium. And now I'm going to click Control-B, which will bold it. And there's probably another way to bold it up here somehow, but I'm going to make it all bold. And I'm going to get rid of that 1 because that's from my old font. Backspace here. But I have a dot in front of verse 1 of all the verses. Sometimes, I don't know why, one of the toolbars up here, if you're making points, it's got a button right up here to put a dot in front of it. I don't want that. So I'm going to click it again, and now it takes the dot away. Oh, I got to hit the cursor or escape. Now it'll take the dot away from all the verses. Let's see, watch this. There. Now the dot's gone from all of them. So I want that font to be larger, of course. So I got two options. I can go up here where the numbers are. It's size 18. I can change it right there. Or I can, well, let's just do that for now. Okay. I'm going to delete that by hitting the Enter button and put in size 24. Now the font is larger. I try with my PowerPoint slides to have no more than 6 or 8 lines on the screen because that's impossible to read, especially from a distance when you speak to a crowd. So I've got my verses. I've got the font that I want, Gaudy Sans Medium, and I bolded it. And I got the box the same size I want. If I grab the size of the side of this box right here, I can squeeze it in, and it squeezes all the verses down. I like to go I don't want to move the whole box. I want to grab just the dot, left click, drag it over. Left click here, drag it over. Another way to do that is to hold the Control-Shift button down and use the arrow keys right here. And that's doing the same thing, enlarging my text box. Oh, I let go of the Shift Control, and I can scoot the box over. Now I'm going to copy exactly this same slide again by clicking over here. Control D will duplicate it. I now have two of the same thing. I'm going to go back to the first one, get rid of 8 verses. I clicked right after verse 2, Shift Control, arrow key down, selected all of that and delete it. Gone. Now I'm going to hit Escape so I get my cursor stops flashing in there, and I can move this thing up and down all over the page. I'm going to get rid of this little line, testing your faith. I'll just backspace through here. Come down with my cursor in front. I'm going to delete the James 1 because I've already got James 1. All these that they see are going to be verses from James 1. So I have to hit Escape to get my cursor quit flashing. Now Shift Control, arrow. And now I use that with carets. Is that what's called the carets, greater than, less than? Anyway, this one over here will make it larger. I can't see what's on top. Let me go up here. See, I'm off my slide. If I go over here beside it and squeeze my fingers together, I can make my slide smaller or larger. So what I have now is James 1, verse 1 and 2. I'm going to scoot it all down with these arrow keys here. And it still won't quite fit on the slide. So my font size is too big. 66 is too much. Let's try 60. That fits on the screen. Move it up to where it's centered, where this text box is not overlapping the other text box. And if I squeeze it in just a hair, I'm going to hit Shift Control arrow. There, that moved the down. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. So I would say a servant of God. I want to talk about that. I hit the Shift Control button and use the arrows, and this selects a servant of God. If I just hold the Shift, it does one letter at a time. If I hold Shift Control, it does one word at a time. You slowly learn all these. And I want to change that to yellow. So I go up here to my font, click the arrow button to give me all the bazillion options. I can do more fill colors. What color do you want? Or a whole bunch. Okay. Let's see, cancel that. Let's go up here. I want this to be bright yellow, the one I use all the time. James, a servant of God. What a title. So let's go back to the Bible program and see how many times does that appear in the Bible. Alt-Tab to the Bible program. Let's go up here in the search, which has the binoculars, and type in, delete all this. Okay, servant of God. Enter. That appears in the Bible 7 times. What an honor to be called a servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. Wow, Moses is called the servant of God 4 times. So I'm going to stretch this over by grabbing that middle bar, hold my left mouse button down, drag this over, and try to get, Moses on 1 page. Because I know the slides are typically, the aspect ratio is this big by this big. I want to snip this piece out of my search program. So if I go to what's this button called with the Windows and Shift, hold those down and hit the S button. That is to open the snipping tool. Now it's going to snip out whatever I want. So I go up here with my cursor, right here before 1 Corinthians, hold the left mouse button down and drag over it. Moses, a servant of God, a servant of God, a servant of God. Those are the 4 verses where he's called the servant of God. And that looks like about the right aspect ratio to fit on a normal slide. If I release this, it is now copied by the snipping tool. I'm going to go back where I was, Alt-Tab, to James. I'm going to start a new slide underneath by clicking right between them, and it just gives me a red line. I'm going to go up here to the top and tell it, put a new slide in there. New slide. What do you want, Hovind? I want a blank white slide. Now, if I hit Control V, it'll take what I pasted out of the Bible program and stick it in there. I want to make it larger, so I'll Shift Control and the arrows, make it larger to fill the screen. I'm going to scoot it down until it touches the bottom and just drag the top up. It's okay to stretch all the letters just a little bit. It's still saying the same thing. So I want to really draw attention to the fact that Moses was a servant of God. So I would like to insert a box around that. So I'm going to go to my insert program. Let's see, insert. What do you want to insert, Kent? A shape. Click the shape button. Let's insert a box. So I'm going to click down here anywhere. Hold the left one down and drag. There's my box. But I don't want a green box. I would like a hollow box. So I'm going to go up here to the, since I've clicked on the box, it tells me, it gives me some options here. What shape do you want? What do you want this shape filled with? I'm going to click there and come down. Nothing. No fill at all. What about that line? What color do you want that box line? I would like it to be red. So I can click on Shape Outline, bright red. I would like it to be a heavier font, a fat line so people can see it. So I'm going to go to Shape Outline, Weight, and make it a big old fat 6-point line. There. And I want to put a black shadow on it. So I do Shape Effects. What do you want to do with this shape? I want to make a shadow. I like my shadows down and to the right. You make yours however you want. So I'm going to click right here, an outer shadow, not an inner shadow, down and to the right. But I still have to work on that shadow. Shape Effects, Shadow, all the way down to the settings. It looks like it has a whole bunch of transparency. You can see through the shadow. No, I like mine solid black. So I'm going to put the left mouse button down, drag this back to 0. The size of the shadow, this got some blur on it. I don't want any blur on it. I want a sharp, crisp shadow. And I'd like it, instead of 3 points, I'd like it to be sticking out 5 points. Watch what happens on the screen as I keep clicking this. The shadow is moving further and further away. The black shadow. I'm going to go back to 5. I like mine typically about 5. Let me drag it back this way. Oh, 0. Shadow, 5, 6. All right, there you go, 6. There I have my box. I'm going to put that over the servant of God by left mouse button down, servant of God. And if I grab this button here and drag it into the right size, Moses, the servant of God. Okay? But when I'm preaching on this, I want that to flash in when I hit my mouse to call people's attention to it. So I'm going to go to animations up at the top. What animation do you want? I would like that box to just simply appear. I could tell it to fly in, fade in, flip in. You can do all kinds of things just with the how do you want it animated. And you can play with that toolbox on your own. So I'm just going to tell it to appear. There. Moses, the servant of God. Now, I've already done all the work to make the box, make it the right size, and make the shadow. So I'm just going to copy that. I don't want to do that over again every time. So I click on it until I get lines around it or dots around it. Now I hit Control-D, duplicate it, and I'm going to move it down to the next one. Moses, the servant of God. Ah, look at that. The word of God's on the next line. So what do I do? Well, I'm going to drag this in. So it just picks up Moses, the servant of God. And every once in a while, I just made it a habit, I hit the Control-S button. Control-S. That saves what I've done so far. Have you ever done a lot of work on something and didn't save it and it disappeared when you shut the computer off? Okay, just make it a habit. Control-S will save it. So Moses, the servant of God. I'm going to copy that again. Control-D. It copied it over here because it's the same. It thinks it wants the same distance too. No, I don't. I want to drag that over here. Moses, the servant, put it over the of God. Drag the lines in right here by holding the left mouse button down. Moses, the servant of God. Make it just a little bigger. Shift Control. I can make it bigger or smaller. I'm going to move this in. And again, there's probably 5 ways to do what I just did. I just know a couple of them. Okay, let's see. Moses, the servant of God. I'm going to duplicate that again, Control-D, and come down here. Moses, the servant of God. I think that would be such an honor to be called the servant of God. What's your title? What do people call you? Moron or, heathen? Moses, the servant of God. Copy it again, Control-D. Written in the law of Moses, the servant of God. Move it over with these arrow buttons here. Get it right where I want it. Now it's going to appear over the top of that phrase, Moses, the servant of God. One problem I've got. Number 2 and number 3, they're set to come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have to click the mouse each time. But I'd like both of those to come in together. So I'm going to click on just this one. And what kind of animation do I want? Well, I would like it to come here. Instead of coming in on the click, I want it to come in with the previous one. So I just click previous. Now they both got a number 2. They're going to come in together. I could tell it, what's my options here in this toolbox? I could tell it to come in. I can move it earlier, move it later. This is just a toolbox of just for animations. So I'm going to close that down, click any place on the background, Control S will save it. Now my first slide I started with is just a white slide with James. I don't want that. I'm going to delete that whole slide. Delete. I just use that to get going. And today's not August the 8th. Today is August the 10th. I'm going to put that in here, August 10th. James. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but watch what happens now when I forgot. On my second slide, I've got these red boxes where I already made the box and the shadow. So I'm going to delete that and take one of them, drag it over here. James, a servant of God, and outline that. And tell that to appear in a, well, let me just make it fly in. How about that one? We'll have that box fly in from the bottom, from the top, from the side, at an angle. You got 8 different options, how you want it to fly in. I don't care. Fly in from the bottom is fine. Okay. So now I will Control S, save everything. Here's my presentation. If I go to Alt D, that really takes me to, and V, Alt DV will take me to my first slide. Now I'm in what's called presentation mode. This is what you want. Nobody gets to see the toolbox. Nobody sees anything else. Here we go. Watch, when I hit the button, my red box that I already made around God gets the glory for his creation shows up. Click it again. Rumble, Kent Hovind official. Click it again. It's just the same red box with a shadow on it. Odyssey. Now if I click it again, it should take me to my next slide. There you go. Now what's going to happen when I click the button, mouse button? It's going to fly in to outline James, a servant of God. Now, if I click it again, it's going to go to the next slide. Look at this, boys and girls. Moses was called a servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. Notice they came in together. Moses, the servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. What an honor to be called a servant of God. So I'm going to go back to my Bible. I hit escape, which takes me out of presentation mode and puts me back into edit mode. Now I can add more slides and edit them and all that. So I'm going to click right below this and make another white slide. Home page, new slide, white slide, nothing on it. I could also click here and just hit Control M. I don't know why, but that makes a new slide too. I can make a whole bunch of them if I want. Oh, let's see, delete these. Okay. So I'd like to get the rest of the verses where it talks about somebody being a servant of God. Alt-Tab takes me back to my Bible program. And I already searched and found all the 7 verses. So I'm going to either drag this bar down right here, left click and drag it. And I can see this program shows me the word phrase servant of God is found in 7 books of the Bible, 1 time each. I'm going to use the arrow key to go up just a little bit at a time because I did the Moses servant of God. Here's Paul, a servant of God. James, a servant of God. Moses, the servant of God again. Now, it looks to me, if I snip this, Windows key, Shift, S. I'm going to get my snipping tool out and grab right above here, drag down over it. And I want to show people there are 7 matches. Found once in 1 Corinthians, or Chronicles, once in 2 Chronicles. But I want to keep the aspect ratio right, about like so. So I snipped that part out, go back to my program, paste it, Control V. Shift Control and arrows will do this box, or I could grab the corner and drag it, either one, and there's probably another way to do it. Okay. Let me drag that over, move it up to the top, move it down, drag the bottom down. It just simply stretches the letters. I can stretch it as far as I want, but I want to fill the box right there. I want to go back to the previous slide and steal the box I made because it already has the shadow, it's the right color, and it's already got the animation to appear. I don't want to do that every time. So I copy that, Control C. That is now copied. I go to this, Control V will paste it. There it is, my box. I'm going to move it up where I want it and say Paul was also called a servant of God. Shift it in the right size. And Control D will duplicate it. Oh, and look at this. James is called a servant of God. It looks to me like only 3 people in the Bible earned that title. Moses, Paul, James. Daniel, a servant of God? Did it miss that one? Let's see. Control D. They sang the song of Moses, the servant of God. Looks like Moses' name's a little longer. I got to stretch the box out. Okay. Why did it miss that? Let's go back and see. What verse is that? Let's see. Servant of God. This searched for servant of God. Let me search again and see if maybe it enter. But I think let me just type in Daniel, the servant of God.
I'm sorry, it says servant of the living God.
Servant of the living God. Well, let's do that here, okay? Servant of the living God. He's not calling it up.
Daniel 6:20.
Servant of the living God. You're right, Daniel 6:20. Now, normally this program will catch that if it's got the word servant of God, even if they're separated, it'll usually catch it. Okay, so let me add that verse. I'm going to snip tool here. It'll be the Windows key, Shift S, grab around that verse, snip it out. Now, this is the king calling him that. Right. So that is now into the memory. Alt-Tab takes me back. Alt-Tab takes me back to my James presentation. I'm going to go under that and add a white box. Control-M will make a new one, or I could have gone up here and grabbed one and put a new box in there. Okay, and Control-V will paste it. Now, Shift-Control together lets me do the arrow keys. I'm going to scoot it up. Drag the bottom and stretch it out just a little bit so there's more space to get my words in there, or my font in there. I'm going to go back and steal the red box, which already has all the animations. Control-C, go down here, Control-V, move it over where I want it. And it already has the animation. It already has everything I want. So let's go back and try the whole program from the beginning. Alt-D-V. What's the other way to do that? I've done that so often, I'm sure there's a way to, okay. Well, folks, today we're going to be studying the book of James, where you can find us, this is the place where God gets the glory for his creation. You can find us on Rumble, Genesis Baptist Church, Odyssey, go to drdino.com and see all the places where we are. Okay, James, chapter 1. James, a servant of God. What an honor to be called a servant of God. Only a few people in the Bible got that honor. Let's see. 1 Chronicles, Moses, the servant of God. 2 Chronicles, Moses, the servant of God. Nehemiah, Moses, the servant of God. Daniel, Moses, the servant of God. What an honor. Paul was called a servant of God. James, the servant of God, the verse around here. They sing the song of Moses, the servant of God. It's found in the Bible 7 times. And then Daniel is called the servant of the living God. Now, that's all the program I've got done so far for James. That's all on one verse. I will go back to verse number 1 and look at it. What else do I want to emphasize or preach on? 2, the 12 tribes, which are a broad greeting. I'm going to underline that. Control-U will underline it. I could Control-I to italicize it. But I don't like to use italics. It makes it harder to read, in my humble opinion. So I'm going to Control-I again to undo it. It's just a toggle switch, italic, unitalic. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Let's get that one, turn to yellow font. Now I want to talk about the servant of God without distracting him with the next point I'm going to make. So I'm going back to this verse, click on it, Control D, duplicate it, and drag it way down here to the bottom of these three. I'm in the slide sorter mode. Well, actually, I could do this two ways. I dragged it down this way. If I go to View in sorter mode, here's the options. Normal view, outline view, slide view. Is that it? Yeah. Now I can sort my slides, drag them around the screen. But they're too big to get them all on one screen, so I'm going to change the view down with the zoom down to make them all smaller, size 50. Okay. There. Now there's all my slides so far for James 1. So I'm going to move this one over here and move it up here. Move it back here. Oh. I'm left clicking on it, and now I can drag it around wherever I just got. Control Z will undo what I just did. Don't you wish there was a Control Z button in real life? Whew. Okay, hold this down, drag it over to here, because now I'm going to emphasize, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Well, what's a diverse? So I'm going to say this box, because this slide now is not the first one I'm going to show. This is now later. I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. We're going to talk about this word diverse. What does diverse mean? I'm going to outline that, shrink it down to just call the word diverse to attention. Well, this is where we get our word diversity or diverse. It means different. And so I like to tell people what the old English words mean, diverse. I'm going to go here and click right under it and make a new slide. Control M, or I could have gone up here and picked, I got to go to the home page though. Home page to put a new slide. But I already did that. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the dictionary on the internet. So I have to go to the internet right here. Alt tab, but do I have it already open? Let's see. Alt tab. Oh yeah, I'm already open right here. So I'm going to open up a new tab on the internet. You can have a bunch of those open. New tab. Definition of diverse. Definition of diverse in KJV. Enter. Let's see what it tells me here. And it's giving me a typed out written definition, which I could copy and paste. Or I could go to images. And let's see if they got a picture from a dictionary. Diverse. Do they have a picture? Don't see what I want there. Let's just go here, back to all. Diverse. Definition from the King James Dictionary. Divers in the Bible. Option. Let's open one and look at it and see if I like the way it looks. Meaning of divers. Well, divers is found in the Bible a couple times. Let's see. Let's go back arrow here to meaning of divers in Acts 9. It's meaning of divers, period. Here we go. Meaning of divers in the Bible. There's somebody's opinion on it. Divers is an English translation of a word from the original manuscripts. You probably see it only in some very old translation like the King James. Divers means modern English, diverse, different, many, several. Okay, good enough. So I'm going to snip that out. Again, Windows key, S, and then Shift, and hold them down, and then the S button and let go. Now I have a snipping tool. Hold the left one down, snip this out. There it is. Go back to my Bible program, Control V, paste it in, Shift Control, use the arrows to enlarge it and move it up to the top. Stretch it out a little bit. Go back and grab a box which I already made, which is hollow and has the font, has the shadow. Copy, Control C, copy that. Come down here to my definition, divers, Control V. My diverse means, and I'm going to put that around there, means diverse, many, several. Okay, Control S will save what I did so far. And now let's go to let's start the slide presentation. So I hit Alt D, which is, what's it doing up here? Is it the home button? File? Oh, escape, home, to start the presentation. Oh, maybe it's view. Normal, reading. I don't know I just know it works, okay? Okay, never mind all that. Alt, D, let go, V. Started the presentation. Hello, folks. My name's Kent Hovind. We're going to be studying the book of James. So turn in your Bibles to the book of James. We're the folks who believe God ought to get the glory for his creation. I'm just hitting the arrow key down or the mouse key. Either one will make click, click, click through each slide. We're on Rumble. We're on Genesis Baptist Church, on YouTube, on Odyssey, and drdino.com. James chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of God. What an honor to be called a servant of God. Some of you are servants of video games or servants of liquor or servants of alcohol or tobacco or something. What are you the servant of? Let's see. Moses was called a servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. Moses, 4 times he's called this, actually 5, servant of God. Paul was called a servant of God. James, the servant of God. Moses, the servant of God. 7 times that phrase is found in the Bible. Plus it says Daniel was the servant of the living God. Who are you serving? Huh? Yourself? Your pictures of George Washington on a dollar bill. You see how many you can collect. Is that your servant? Okay. James, the servant of God, he said, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations. Divers, what does that mean? Well, let's see. Old English word. Divers means diverse, different, many, several, diversity. Divers. How many times is divers found in the Bible? Well, got to stop and add that now because I just thought we need to add that. So let's go make another blank slide under here. Control M. There's a white slide. Alt Tab takes me back to my Bible program. And let's see how many times the word divers. D-I-V-E-R-S. Divers. Whoa, found in there 37 times. Don't sow your vineyard with diverse seeds. I'm just going to cut out a section of that as an example. Again, Windows, Shift, S is my snipping tool. Grab the top and get about the right aspect ratio, maybe down to here. Boy, divers found 3 times in that one verse. Alt-Tab, Control-V will paste it in, drag it out to the right size. Now this thing gave me a bunch of tools on the side, which I don't want. I'm just going to X out of that. If I can find it, here we go. I don't want all that. Okay. Drag it down to fill the screen. Divers, divers, divers. Now just for fun, let's put the box around that. Control-C will copy it. Go back to that slide. Control-V. Don't sow your vineyard with diverse seeds. Now, one thing you can do with this, preachers or whoever's doing this, you could show that the King James Bible translates itself, it defines its own words. If you just read every place the word divers appears, you would not need to look it up in a dictionary. Don't sow your vineyard with diverse seeds. Well, it must mean different. Let me copy that, Control-D. Thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts. Okay, let me shrink that down to fit that. Control-D. Thou shalt not have a bag with divers weights. They got to give you more honey and you cheat them, or you're going to sell it with a small weight. He told the Jews they need that. Be honest with your buying and selling. Control-D. Thou shalt not have in the house divers measures, a great and a small. Not only weights, but also when you measure something, if you're selling them cloth or something. Okay? Divers colors. Let me call that up. Drag the box in to fit. Left click down to Sisera, a prey of divers colors. Oh, they divided the prey. Oh, back in Judges, okay. Divers colors of needlework, divers colors of needlework. It's in here twice. So I'm just going to do the whole thing, the whole rest of the verse. Drag it down, cover that whole thing. But my boxes overlap a little, so I'm going to take this one, Control-Shift, and squeeze it together just a little bit. Move it down. There. Okay. Control-S, save what I got so far. Alt-Tab, No, I don't want that. I want to be in the James PowerPoint, Alt-DV. Hey, folks, Ken Hovind here. We're going to talk about the book of James. God gets the glory. I run all this stuff. James, servant of God, 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 servant of God. Fall into diverse temptations. Diverse means diverse, different. You can tell what the Bible means. It interprets itself. Don't sow your vineyard with diverse seeds. Well, I wonder what it means. Don't put different kinds of seeds together. Diverse sorts in a garment. Diverse weights, diverse measures. So there I have put a presentation together. Now I'm going to go to Escape. That's all verse 1. Now I'm down here, click. There's my 10 verses I cut and pasted earlier. I'm going to erase, click right in front of it, Shift Control, use the arrow keys here, and erase the first 3. Control Shift caret key to make it larger. Now I'm going to take this, Control D, duplicate it, go back up to the first one, and get slide number 3 and 4. So I go right after it, Shift Control, arrow down, delete all that, Escape, so I get my cursor off there, and enlarge my font, move it where I want it, eliminate the James 1:4, or James 1. Looks like I could go a little bit larger font, so let me go to 68 and see if that fills the screen. Yeah, okay. Get rid of one of these boxes, which I already had on there. Knowing this, you go through the whole Bible like this. What do you want to say? How do you emphasize it? That's why it's called PowerPoint. You can make a powerful point. I could make an arrow come flying in if I want to point to a word. Let's do that. Let's insert a shape. Let's get a shape over here. Let's make it an arrow, a block arrow. Oh, down here, block arrow. Okay, touch it, left click, drag over. I'm going to make a big fat green arrow. Now I'd like it to be filled, the shape to be filled with yellow. I'd like the outline to be black. But I want the outline to be fatter so it's more visible, give it more weight. Okay, there we go, 6 font. And I want to point to the word faith. I would like that to come flying in to draw their attention. So I go to my animations and tell it to fly in from the bottom. I could make it fly in from the side. Okay. I can modify the shape of this arrow. I can drag that little yellow button down here and make it look like that. Whoa. I can get this yellow button, I think, and drag it in and make that skinnier. I can make the arrow longer. I can play with the whole thing and make it a huge arrow. And you can play just with that tool for a long time. And those of you that like to play all day instead of getting any work done, you play with it all day, okay? So I'm going to shape it back where I used to be. Faith. What else can I do? I can make it float in. Slowly come. I can make it split. I can split it where it comes from the outside in, or from the inside out. Or I can make it split from the top down, or from the, play with it all day. You can make it wipe. It wipes it onto the screen. Again, all kinds of ways. Make it just appear. So you can play with these tools. This toolbox up here at the top, your home button gives you a bunch of tools you can do. Your insert button, what do you want to insert? You want to insert this icon? Oh, they don't have any. Oh, please wait while we locate icons. Oh, here we go. Let's put in a clock. Insert a clock. Alt-Tab, back to where I was in James, right there. And Control-V will paste it. No, I guess I didn't get it. Control-Z. There's a way to, okay, let's get a different icon. I want to insert a, no, I don't want, I guess I don't want to do an icon. I want a shape. Here, let's get a different shape. Insert a star. Gives me a whole bunch of options down here. What's my more? Insert, here we go. A star. 5-pointed star. Insert the star. And again, I can change the outline of it, the shape. I can make this animation, make it come flying in, swirling in, all kinds of stuff. Looks like it gives me more. Here we go. Glow and turn. Whoa. There's the star glowing and turning. So let's go back, Control S to save everything. Alt DV will start the presentation. Hi folks, Ken Hovind here. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. James, a servant of God, divers. What's that mean? Divers. Well, you can tell from the Bible. It means divers. It means different. Don't do this with divers. So here we go. Faith. And there's my star swirling in for absolutely no reason other than show you how to make a star swirl in. Okay, that's enough for intro for PowerPoint. You can play with it. I would then go back and do some more verses. What do you want to call attention to? This, to me, I have how many lines on the screen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. I don't like having many more than that. So if I would go to hit escape, back to that slide, I don't want the arrow, click it, take it out, delete, gone. I want to get my red box to highlight something. 3 different ways that I highlight call attention, actually 4. One is by turning it yellow instead of on the white font. And I would like something in the middle. Let me move my arrow out of the way here. Let patience have her perfect work. So I'm going to shift button down and go over those words and make it yellow. Got to go back to home page to get that option, yellow. This breaks up the slide and makes it easier to read because you have a natural break point. I can call attention to something by making it a different color. I can call attention to it by having it underlined. Click at the beginning, shift, go over here, underline, Control U, underline. I can call a lot of attention to it by then having my red box come in on top of it again. Let patience have her perfect work. I want to talk about patience. Well, I can go back to the Bible and look up all the times patience is mentioned and do the same thing with another slide like that. But that's enough for now. How long has that been? An hour? Okay. That's enough of my introduction to PowerPoint. This is for a Bible program. When I do my one on making babies, I do the same thing. I go to the internet, pick information I want, either clip it out or copy it and paste it. There's all kinds of ways to do that. If you have any questions, you can call me, 855-BIG-DINO. I'm extension 3. Be glad to help you. Okay, I got to get ready for making babies on the critter tonight. You're not going to believe what they do to make babies. I love this program. All right, any questions? You guys can't ask